The following is a transcript of a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. 25th June 2021, Networks. Me. I kept thinking about what you told me about genetic modifications, the fact that consciousness is not morality. Does this justify all the horrible things that have been done from science? I am. Science is not consciousness. Science is one aspect. Remember that the word comes from scindere, which means cut, discern. That is, it makes cuts to understand what is between the parts, but this may easily be the description of a psychopath dismembering a body. Consciousness is the ability to discern in the whole, in all aspects, from the spiritual to the material, passing through each level in all its amplitudes and lengths. In this way you can understand that not always what is done in the name of science will be conscious, much less moral. Me. So there is no justification for cloning or animal experiments. I am. No, but conscience cannot judge those acts either. Me. Why? I am. Because in most cases they are done from unconsciousness, from not knowing other methods, believing that it is the only way, or not being able to relate emotionally with the subjects involved. Whoever appeals to be conscious will understand that judging unconsciousness is like criticizing a child who does something wrong because he does not know how to do it otherwise. Judging those who do it wrong does not make you a better person, but educating them and showing them other ways makes you a conscious being. Me. Sure, I understand. It's that one of the things I've read or been told are things that I myself believe, for example, the fact that these vaccines are not reliable. What to think? I am. That you have every right to think that they are not reliable, as were all vaccines in the beginning. But it is important not to confuse unreliable vaccine because it is in testing phases to vaccines have extraterrestrial nanotechnology funded by the Illuminati to kill people with 5G. Do you think that if someone wanted to kill people, they wouldn't do it in a much easier and more direct way than generating millions of unnecessary losses? The distrust of some doctors who know that what is being done today is wrong has been taken as a flag for conspiracy theories, and it is important to discern. In the year 666, this number was considered to mark the end of the world because it was the number of the beast. Many freethinkers were persecuted based on marks they considered to be the devil. Conspiracies in the Middle Ages were recurrent and led to the death of many people. Over the years, the end of the world never came, so the concept was evolving, making the mark of the beast always something new that seems definitive. And let me explain something about this. There will always be marks of the beast. There will always be the end of the world. There will always be the 7 plagues, because in every age there is a crisis, an inevitable process of adaptation. And as you have seen, since the year 666, people have adapted, and their lives have gone on. Why? Because they evolved. They transcended the previous idea that seemed unique and undoubted, and they were able to move to the next level. What we are experiencing today will be an anecdote for those who will live in the world 100 years from now, and they will have their own dilemmas. You understand? Me. Yes, I am. It is not to take weight away from history, nor to detract from possible conspiracy theories. In fact, surely there are many things happening that we do not control and that are in the hands of powerful people. However, those powerful will die, like you, and new forms will come, new people. Nothing is eternal, only change, and therefore it is necessary to build a future instead of getting lost in certain stories. Me. And if the conspiracies are true? What if what they say is put in the vaccine is true? I am. You only have 2 options. Look for ways not to wear it because you are free to fight for your privacy rights, or in the other case, adapt. Demonstrate the strength of your body, your evolutionary capabilities. All this is a constant of evolution, and as I told you yesterday, in the great processes of change, many are those who are left behind for others to advance, and those who advance have the responsibility to improve the world. Humans are a young species. It is in the process of development, still testing how to stop being animal. You must take the time you live as such. For past generations, the control was in the fact that people had phones. Today, they don't seem to care much about having a phone, so new forms of control emerge, as in vaccines. Fears adapt to circumstances. But I tell you again, If they wanted to kill a large part of the human population, believe me, no one would be so easily cured of this virus. Me. This brings me to another question related to the human, because yesterday you said that genetic modification should not be viewed from the moral point of view, because we always make genetic choices. But what the human does always goes wrong. That is, nature always has to correct what the human does because of his incapacity. So how do you trust what the human does with modifications? I am. Again, move away from the narrow view of human morality. Step away from the world and contemplate history. For a human to appear as Homo sapiens sapien 300,000 years ago, and as a human hominid 3 million years ago, Earth performed genetic trials and errors for more than 70 million years. The human, in a nutshell, was a genetic error. Me. Oh. I am. Like everything in life, they are divergent copies in DNA. Sometimes you fail to take the magnitude of understanding that the Earth does with life what humans have done in recent centuries, and even more so in recent years. Tests. And the tests that manage to adapt are the ones you see today as a species. The reason why everything works in harmony is because the processes have taken thousands and even millions of years to occur, with which an optimal adaptation has been achieved. And do you know what is the other mistake you usually make? Me. Which one? I am. Talking about humans and nature as if they were separate things. Do you consider yourself so superior or different from Earth that every time you talk about this you separate? Don't you realize that you are a mechanism of evolution of the Earth? You are the Earth. And what you do, you are yourself, is the Earth itself. There were periods when other species produced imbalances in the environment leading to mass extinctions. Excess oxygen or lack thereof, natural regulation by glaciations, plagues of certain creatures that devastate entire territories, and today, humans. Of course, humanity is causing a great imbalance, but you do not stop being the Earth. And what you do is part of what the species that you are is capable of doing, a species propitiated by Earth. You understand? Me. Yes, that is, if we are still here, it is because in a certain way the Earth needs us here, or rather, we are the Earth itself, experiencing something new within the millions of years of its constant mistakes and trials. For the Earth, our existence is just another day on its calendar. Maybe it's a very intense day. I am. A day of not forgetting. But it is the Earth that has decided to live this day. Do not separate yourself from nature, considering that you are not natural. For everything you do is part of nature on a different level. The big difference is your ability to be aware of what you do and how you affect the world you are a part of. Therefore, there is more responsibility in your actions than in those of other species, which gives you the feeling of human nature separation. Me. What about the extraterrestrial modifications that we have experienced? I am. There you go. Genes came together to create cells, cells came together creating tissues, and these organisms created intelligence, and intelligence, culture, and knowledge, and these created spirituality, techniques, art, and science capable of molding genes. See? It's the same genes looking for ways to modify themselves. Your idea of separation does not allow you to see the networks, and in Aquarius it will be essential that you learn to see this. Me. Networks. Our new time. I am. Red, network in Spanish, comes from the Latin rete, from the Indo-European etymology ere, meaning separated, loose, and refers to fishing nets, woven in such a way that they are flexible, appearing to be loose with each other. However, they are joined by nodes, something that in Latin we call nox, and that comes from the concept nexus, giving words like netere, weave, from the verb ned, to tie, and that in our languages today we use as nexus or connect. This word gives rise to the English net, which derived to something beautiful, neat, like a precious and neat fabric, which gave in Latin languages such as French the concept clean, net. This was what led to the Anglo-Saxon languages the idea that something bright and clean, in order, was known as net. Towards the last centuries close to us, development led to weaving roads, villages that had to be programmed in a perfect order of communication, something that was called clean work or network. Over time, the idea came to describe networks of things, interconnections. Me. Our mission is to create that network. I am. But you will understand that it is impossible for you to believe it if you continue to think that there is duality, bad and good. Networks cannot be polar. Networks are networks in which all information is useful to someone. What for you is false and absurd may be useful for the awakening of others. What you consider important for others may not be. What your morals say is bad, maybe it's the only solution for others. As long as you live in duality, it will be impossible for you to see the network. For you will continue to judge existence from only two nodes, the preconception from which you come and the expectation to which you are addressing. Between the two, you will find the lateral points that balance your being, the good and the bad, performing counterweights. So, while you go to one side a lot, the other appears to compensate for the balance of your path. The bad is the crisis that drives you to move forward, while the good is what reminds you of the stability and potentials you have to achieve it. But if you see them as enemies, you will never understand that the network is much bigger and holds more potential for you in your development than if you only look at everything from your morals, remembering that morality means quality of inhabiting a specific place. Me. I can't understand the network from just one point of view. I am. Exactly. So you have to broaden your vision, see beyond the good and bad characters, the upper or lower nodes. Me. Today we call networks everything that connects us online. I am. This idea comes from the networks I explained to you: trains, roads, connecting stations, and villages. Networks that moved to the concept of wiring, pipes, sewers within cities. Those who went along the roads carrying one or another product or message called themselves parts or members of a network, which created the messaging network, the livestock network. When the United States government's long-distance information exchange network for defense, known as ARPA, Advanced Research Project Agency, was created, the idea of online networks appeared, which a few years later would give rise to interconnected networks, the Internet. Beginning in 1980, the Internet led to the storage and dissemination of millions of data items around the world, making each individual computer a station. With the emergence of the first platforms that went beyond organizations, enabling individuals to upload and download data, what we call social networks appear. Do you know what this is? Me. What? I am. A practice of embodying the Akashic records in matter. The Internet and the intranet are the visible and invisible concepts of the universal network of information records, which today are allowing humans to connect and learn what it means to be part of an organic network, something that has never happened before. Me. We're just in our infancy in terms of connectivity, practicing getting in touch with each other. I am. That's right. They are unconscious networks. Me. And how did we come to create conscious networks? I am. Expanding the ability to see each other's potentials without expecting everyone to be equal. The network of consciousness is an arduous task of self-awareness, of recognition of inner power and respect for the power of the other. It is the ability to connect freely with others, to share what we have, to create new transcendental projects. You must first make yourself aware of who you are, so that you can then share this with the world. The network of consciousness is something free of preconceptions and judgments before what the other can contribute and share. Me. When I usually say that we are working to create a network of consciousness, I think of two things: the fabric of the planetary network, the awareness that things are united in networks even if we do not see them, and on the other hand, that we can recognize the number of people willing to work internally to create a new world. How do we proceed in each case to make it something real? I am, as they are doing, little by little, step by step. To know the world you inhabit, from the internal to the external, becoming aware of everything that exists, that things are not separate. Knowing the origin, the history, questioning the existence, investigating the meaning of all things and the union of them. When you make the path of weaving your own networks, you begin to understand how the world is a great network of networks, which transcends personal organization, and then you are ready to be an organic and flexible part of it, to flow. Learn, educate yourself, and on the other hand, Knowing that there are as many as one with different lives and thoughts, with the same intention, proposes the realization of joint projects in networks that allow us to translate our ideas into matter. This should not remain in a meditative meeting, because eventually ideas will have to be taken to action, starting first with oneself and from there to the world. Me. I have spoken many times about the idea of creating a network of networks. What would that be? I am. The network of networks is the etheric, virtual, or physical platform of many people with different projects that can contribute to the same end. It is something that does not belong to anyone because it belongs to everyone, and that unifies many different currents in favor of change, of constant transformation. They are swarms of bees, flocks of hummingbirds, colonies of ants and termites, bivouacs of butterflies, which find in the flowers the same purpose, without conflicting between them. Me. Almost as if it were a nation, a country, which unites under the same flag, but each one performs its tasks and is part of the internal networks. I am. Exactly. The difference between a nation and a network is that there are no leaders or representatives, but projects, as well as it is not necessary to be part of a common ideology or history, but one can fluctuate in the networks as required. There is no sense of belonging. Me. I understand. I am. Aquarius will bring this concept of social creation, in which everyone is friends of all without being one, in which everyone shares with everyone without being part of the same clan, is the Geminian aspect of this new time. Me. We're already noticing. I am. You only need a few more years of unconscious practice until you know how to use it consciously, and then everything will work out. Until the next step. Me. The first step, then, is to recognize my own networks. I am. History, biology, family, links, philosophy, interior, your own spirit, soul, and body are your closest networks. You are a network of networks. Show that you know how to live in it, and you can create a surpassing network. Me. I am a network of networks capable of creating the network of networks. I am. So, connect.